Okay. Can you hear me? You can hear me? All right. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was not ordered. But here we are. Okay, you are warmly welcome to this session on investing in bioproducts. What are the drivers and what are the obstacles? We are doing that in collaboration together with World BioEconomy Forum. This is a part of the series as we call roundtables, which are organized according to our four-pillar structure, where we are having each time a theme, what we are covering in these roundtables. Today's topic is about the bioproduct around us, and more specifically, we are talking about what does it then mean to invest in bioproducts, what are the drivers and what are the obstacles. We have very, let's say, esteemed lineup of speakers and experts on this space to share their story. We are not only here in Helsinki, this is also, by the way, recorded, and it is shown in the YouTube channel, so you can have a look afterwards what all we learned through this session. My name is Jukka Kantola, and I'm the founder of the World BioEconomy Forum. This session is actually headed by Ludo Diaz. He couldn't make it today, so I'm his stuntman to running that on behalf of him. But he's for sure looking after us through this camera. About the forum itself, the World BioEconomy Forum is established 2018, and it's providing a platform for the bioeconomy stakeholders to exchange their ideas on bioeconomy and learning from each other. For each season, we have a specific theme. For example, last year, we were having a theme on setting up a global hub for the bioeconomy. And as a result of that, we were then establishing the World BioEconomy Association. And this association is our sort of, let's say, non-profit arm, which is advocating the bioeconomy. And we have already, since these 3 months' time, taking a quite active position on it. You know, we have been addressing several position papers to EU related to biotech, biomanufacturing, related to how the bioeconomy within the EU should be then outlined. And not only the EU, we are doing the very same when it comes to G20. Have a look at our website and you can read more from there. The bioeconomy. What do we mean by the bioeconomy? I would claim that the bioeconomy is getting more and more attention in global arenas. Part of that story is that, you know, superpowers like US, China, they have just recently come up with the bioeconomy strategies or update of them. US just announced, it was in September 2022, the executive order on advancing biotech and biomanufacturing. A lot of that after that has taken place. China also launched their bioeconomy strategy some 1.5 years ago. So they are sort of paving the way. The bioeconomy is becoming a topic also in the other international forums. And as an example of that, you know, it was only 2 years ago that there was a very first time bioeconomy panel, official bioeconomy panel. It was within the climate COP in Egypt. I know that very well because I happen to be in that panel, but it was very, very historical moment because it was the very first time that the bioeconomy is seen, bioproducts are seen as a vehicle to mitigating the climate change. That's one thing. Then, now, this year, Brazil is having a presidency of G20, and they have now initiated bioeconomy initiative, which is aiming up to setting up high-level principles on bioeconomy. That work is already in the work, underway, and intention is that it will be accomplished by 10th of September, and it will be adopted by the end of this year. It's very, very remarkable documentation which is under preparation. We are partially working on that as well, because they have asked us to come in up that what does it then mean to finance the bioeconomy? So there are already vehicles in place when it comes to the case sustainable finance, when it comes to climate mitigation. There's a good number of the ecosystem services related to that world, which is affecting us all. No matter are we individuals, no matter are we the part of the society, part of the companies. Also, the very same applies when it comes to the biodiversity. But when we are talking about bioeconomy, that ecosystem does not exist. There is no credit for the bioproduct, not at all. Should it be? Remain to be seen. That's the reason they've been asked us, let's have a look on that, and we are working on that topic. And that brings us to the topic today. Today we are talking about what about the bioproducts, what about the bioproduct as an investment destination, what about the drivers and obstacles, what keeps these companies sticking on this space. So that's what we are then talking about. Okay, without further ado, let's go to the topic itself. It's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dirk Harres, who is providing us a landscape from the EU perspective and what's up in the EU. And he has named his keynote as investing in new biorefineries, drivers and obstacles. And Dirk Harres is executive director of the Bio-Based Industry Consortium, BIC. Most of you do know that. BIC brings together actors from different sectors and disciplines to establish a pan-European bio-based industry. As such, BIC represents the private sector in a public-private partnership within the European Commission. The Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking CBE-GU. BI's mission is to connect industry, academy, regions and citizens to transform bio-based feedstock into novel sustainable products and application, and to create circular bioeconomy ecosystem through investments, innovations and know-how. Dirk is bioengineer and holds a PhD in agricultural sciences. So I think I stop here, and Dirk, the stage is yours. And with big hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Jukka, and good morning, everybody. So, you heard already what we are doing as BIC. We are in fact a consortium at the moment of, I think it's almost 300 companies. It's growing very fast. And we have 240 at the moment, associate members, universities mainly. But very important, our companies do not represent one sector. We have companies coming from agriculture, from food, from forestry, pulp and paper, technology providers, waste management, aquatic, important, and also brand owners. So companies that bring bio-based products in certain applications to the market. And this is important because, as you heard from Jukka, what we try to do is set up value chains from feedstock supply to new applications, but also producing the products in Europe, bringing the applications to the market, and we focus on innovation, we focus on access to finance, and we focus on know-how and education, as you will see. We have 4 pillars of activities. We are the private partner with our companies in a public-private partnership with the European Commission. I'll explain a bit more. We have a business pillar because we have companies from different sectors. Networking is very important. What is waste or can be seen as waste for one company can be feedstock for another company. Developing new products, new applications, and bring them to the market, very important. So networking is crucial. So we have all kinds of networking events, networking tools, all kinds of innovation challenges that we try to stimulate with our members. Finance, very important. How can we improve access to finance to keep these investments in Europe? Very important. We also have pitch events for smaller companies, for larger events, for venture capitalists. And then finally, we have the society pillar. And society pillar, this is about awareness. We still have to explain what is bio-based. Why is bio-based better than fossil-based? But also education. We also have this BISC-E education award for master students to stimulate entrepreneurship in the bioeconomy. So here are some companies, and some of these companies, I see the logos already also hang on the walls, so are here today. So I was asked to talk a bit about funding instrument and funding and bottlenecks and drivers for investment in Europe. And if you look to the landscape in Europe, then we see quite some existing funding instruments. And we have funding via grants, and you have funding via, I would say, support via loans and other financial instruments. We have the European Regional Development Fund, where European money can be distributed by regions, but also to stimulate investments being part of the Green Deal, for instance. But we have, of course, as you probably know, the Horizon Europe program for innovation and for research. And as part of that, we have this public-private partnership. We had one under Horizon 2020, which was called BBI, Bio-Based Industries Initiative. And today, the ongoing joint undertaking, public-private partnership, is the CBE, Circular Bio-Based Europe. I will come back on that. But there are also some other, I would say, possibilities, opportunities to finance larger investments in the bio-based economy. And then we have loans. InvestEU is quite important. And we know, of course, also the European Investment Bank that can support some investments, risky investments. And part of that is an European Circular BioEconomy Fund, which has been developed, set up specifically to support investments in the bioeconomy. So the landscape is there, but what we see in Europe that it is very fragmented, and the rules, we heard already about the regulation and rules, the rules are as such that sometimes it's very difficult to attract investors in Europe. I will come back to that. Let me take the opportunity to go a bit deeper in one of these instruments, this public-private partnership, and I think this kind of instrument is crucial not only at European level, but can also be important at member state level or at regional level. The CBE, or the Circular Bio-Based Europe Joint Undertaking, is a partnership between the European Commission and the Bio-Based Industries Consortium and the members, so our consortium. It has been launched in 21 until 31. It is part of the, as I said, of the Horizon Europe program. It should contribute to the Green Deal. We heard already of the Green Deal this morning. And it should build on the successes of the previous partnership, which was called BBI. Today, the European Commission is putting €1 billion, it's quite a lot, €1 billion in the partnership, industry that can be distributed via grants, and the industry is bringing in at least 1 billion in own investments. In the previous partnership, we also had €1 billion, and the industry brought in almost 3 billion, but the ways to calculate the contributions was a bit different. I have to say it's more or less the same at the moment. Now, why is this important? What are the basic principles of such a partnership? First of all, it is the multi-actor approach. So very important, we try to integrate all the stakeholders of a value chain, from feedstock supply towards new applications. So we have to include the primary producers, agriculture, forestry also, and brand owners. And it has a regional dimension because we try to also come up with new investments, new value chains at regional level. Of course, it has to develop sustainable and circular solutions. Co-production is important. We try to valorize all components of a feedstock. Sometimes, and we have to work in industrial symbiosis. Companies have to work together. So multi-input, multi-output biorefineries. What kind of actions can be supported? I think 200 million of the 1 billion can go to research projects, including scaling a pilot plant research. And there we look to technologies in the value chain which are still not mature enough so that you can go to, let's say higher TRL, demo or flagship. 400 million can be invested in what we call demo plants, scale-up and demo technologies, a proof of concept, small-scale production plants, even developing applications with customers. And this is to de-risk the later investments to attract in an easier way investments. And 400 million, and that's quite unique in this kind of programs, are going to large-scale, first of a kind, so innovative production facilities in Europe. So we can support new production plants in Europe with this kind of grants. What kind of projects can be supported? Well, the development of all production of all kind of products, being chemicals, plastics, food and feed, ingredients, textiles, except bioenergy. It's not part of it. Coming from all kind of biomass, including, in this case, the second block, forest-based industries, so and also side streams, but also CO2 from using biogenic carbon. And these are some flagship projects that have been already supported by this kind of grants. And we see all over Europe different flagship projects producing different kind of products, using different kind of feedstock, including some of the forestry, and I think we will have a representative of one of these companies also here. So very important. And this is going beyond research, because these are some pictures, so we don't only support research and a lab. No, this is really, building new production facilities in Europe, innovative production facilities in Europe. Keep the innovation, keep the know-how also in Europe. What we see is that with 250 million public money going to these projects, around 1.3 billion investment. So we have a leverage effect of 5.2. And of course, we also have a link to sustainability and new jobs. So to conclude this part, why are public-private partnerships important as a driver, as a tool? Because it helps innovations to progress through the valley of death, going from research to demo to even production. And we can stimulate collaboration in value chains. We set up new ecosystems, and we can de-risk investments, also important. Investments that maybe otherwise would have gone outside of Europe. How can we now accelerate on top of the CBE also investments? So we have, and there are some drivers, as I said, we have some instruments, but we also have some obstacles. And we have asked with our members what are the obstacles and what can be done more to stimulate investments in Europe. And these are the conclusions, the recommendations that are the conclusions from, I would say, the discussions with the members. First of all, we really have to accelerate in Europe biomanufacturing capability from lab to pilot to flagships. And an investor will only invest if a product can be sold. Now, in Europe, we have heard already, those that were here, that Europe is the Silicon Valley of regulation. It takes a long time, the approval process in Europe takes a long time, much longer than in other parts of the world. And this is blocking investors also to invest in Europe in new production plants. So we really have to overcome some of these regulatory hurdles. We have to make Europe the powerhouse for upscaling of bio-based innovation. We have to support, we have to co-fund, we have to de-risk biomanufacturing infrastructure, including, I would say, production. Like they do, for instance, in the States with the Inflation Reduction Act. So there are some initiatives in other parts of the world. And we have to set up a plan to involve the regions to do a bit the same. So we have to work with DG Regio and the regions to stimulate also this kind of investments in the region. Second part of recommendations, you can only invest if there is a market, but if you have access to feedstock. So, and in Europe is very good in developing all kind of criteria, but sometimes not always based on science. So we really have to develop scientifically sound sustainability criteria to use biomass. At the moment, for instance, European Investment Bank is saying you cannot use sugar in fermentation because this is coming from a food crop. Yeah, but not the whole food crop is used for food. So, and you will have not fermentation if you don't have sugar. So really, we have to work on that. We have to make policies more technology neutral. We have to look at the product, not how the product is produced. Of course, it has to be sustainable. We need to have a look at, let's say, biomass sources which are underutilized. And we need a level playing field between the uses of biomass. Today, we promote a lot of biomass for bioenergy, but biomaterials, the bioproducts, there are not many instruments, not many policies that are stimulating the use of bio-based products. We have to defossilize products, but we have to stop the use of virgin fossil fuel and replace it by, let's say, renewable carbon. So that means that we have to assess financial and market incentives to stimulate defossilization. At the moment, that doesn't exist. We can produce VAT rates, We can develop labels. We can stimulate public procurement, and so on. So we can introduce the renewable carbon as a criteria in sustainable financing via the taxonomy. So there are different ways. We can also put targets forward for the use of fossil-free content. And of course, we have to better recognize renewable carbon as a key element. So, as I said, make renewable carbon criteria in the financing, but also adjust the product environmental footprint methodology. And my last slide. 2 weeks ago, the Commission has published its biotechnology and biomanufacturing initiative. And fortunately, you can see many of what I just said in this document, as this publication. It talks about, yes, in Europe, we have to simplify the regulatory framework to faster access the market. We have to stimulate private investments by lowering barriers. We have to stimulate public investments using, for instance, the European Innovation Council. We have to support scale-up in Europe. We need a fair comparison with fossil fuel. They talk about the product environmental footprint method to better stimulate, to include the use of biogenic carbon. And they also said we will have to take some of these elements up in the new updated bioeconomy strategy. Of course, this is a communication. Now it's up to the Commission, the new Commission, after the election, to implement this. But at least this is one step in the good direction. Thank you.
Thanks, Dirk. Excellent landscape that make us see. So maybe Dirk, only very short question. Okay, if you have any desire for the upcoming EU bioeconomy strategy, only one word. What would you like to see on that?
Faster approval process.
Okay, very good. That's a good choice. All right. We move on. I was told that to remind you that we have also in this session viestiseina.fi/bi at your disposal. If you have any pressing needs for the questions, please use that and address to the panelists. So let's move on. Now we go for the panel itself. So I would ask the panelists to take their seats with me here on stage. So please join panelists, please, with big hands. Take your seats. Yeah, you take the first, Bernadita. And we've been asking the panelists the first to, let's say, approach this topic by Bernadita, if you take it first, and then Petri, and Peep, and Christian. There we go. So we will have approached this topic that first have a look what about the drivers. I have asked them to be prepared for that question in their first introduction speech. Then we move along that what are about the obstacles. Then we are going to talk about it. And finally, if time allows, we are talking about what about the financing the bioeconomy. What are the major drivers on it? And please be active. The Viestiseina is at your disposal. So, with these words, great pleasure to start with Bernadita.
Excellent. Well, thanks for having us, and it's a great pleasure to share the stage with this distinguished guest as well.
Very good. Let me introduce first who you are.
Excellent.
With the short bio. So, Bernadita is a manager of CPMC Ventures, the corporate investment fund of CPMC. They do have outreach in various locations, also here, by the way, here in Finland, in Espoo. I just learned that today, focusing on discovery technologies and sustainable solutions within various technological spaces related to wood and the forest within the background in environmental chemistry from the University of Chile and Masters of Doctorate in Biotechnology from the University of Cambridge. She boasts over 15 years experience in scientific and technological entrepreneurship and development in startups, venture capitalists and corporates. Bernadita has been recognized as one of the Latin American most influential individuals by Bloomberg in 2021. So with this word,
no pressure.
Bernadita.
Okay, so first, briefly, well, you mentioned about CMPC. I hope you all know CMPC, but CMPC is a pulp and paper industry based in Chile, but we'll have 3 business units: tissue, pulp and wood, and biopackaging as well. We operate in 12 countries. I have my friends here to kind of help me there. We have 54 industrial plants in America, 22 in Chile, is 10 in Brazil, 6 in Peru, 6 in Mexico. So it's a broad presence in Latin America in general. But going particularly to CMPC Ventures, you mentioned something there. CMPC Venture is the corporate venture arm for CMPC. We are an integral part of the innovation strategy for CMPC, and we work side by side with our R&D team. Basically, we want to explore disruptive technologies in our industry, which is why basically we're all here as well in this event, right? But I can tell you more probably about it later. But we have an innovation office here in in Finland, as you mentioned, and our focus is really to connect with the innovation ecosystem in the Nordics and in Europe in general. But going to the drivers, well, aside from what Dirk mentioned in his presentation, I think, for me, it's more about our responsibility. Okay. We already operate in a sustainable industry. We already have certified fiber. Plastic is trying to go towards bioplastic. Fuels are trying to go towards biofuels. How many times have you heard bio something in these last few days? Everything's about bio something. We're just talking about bioeconomy here. So we already produce sustainable fibers. We already manage sustainable forests. So I think for me, it's just more about our responsibility to find more value-added products of our forests.
Okay, that's a good approach. So bio and sustainability, that's high on your agenda. So thanks, Bernadita. So let's move on to Petri. And Petri is the Chief Technology Officer at UPM, the biofuture company, located here in Helsinki, but certainly having operations all over the world. He's having 15 plus years experience at the UPM. Petri has held various leadership positions, including Senior Vice President for Uruguay Development Project and Senior Vice President for Labor Papers. He holds executive education from Harvard Business School and IMD, along with the strong technical background from Helsinki University of Technology. Petri's leadership and expertise are instrumental in driving UPM's growth and innovation strategy. So, Petri, what are your insights on this? What are the drivers for the bioproducts investing?
Thanks, Jukka, and great to be here. Good morning. Still, it's morning for everybody, and I think everybody knows UPM. I suppose so. So I don't need to go in details. But first of all, in UPM, we create future beyond fossils. So that's the thing which is has been driving our transformation for last 10-15 years. And I think the main drivers is to find a sustainable alternatives for fossil-based products. Let it be fuels or chemicals or other applications. We talk about climate-positive products and some examples. What is ongoing, for instance, the molecular bioproducts, which is a great opportunity to decarbonize traffic with the renewable biofuels, and also provide a sustainable alternatives for fossil-based chemicals in different consumer products. But I don't want to only focus on these bio-start things. Also good to remember that the high-value fiber is absolutely there, offering a sustainable alternative for still fossil-based materials used in widely in packaging, for instance. And then the packaging itself, there are also a megatrends supporting heavily the fiber-based solutions to substitute the plastic fiber combinations, for instance.
Okay, very good. You mentioned now the substitution, but was not mentioned here earlier. So I think that's really a vital part of this all, the substituting the fossil-based alternatives. So good to hear. So let's move on. Would you like to comment more?
No, just saying that it's not only talk. So as we all know that we definitely have quite the big things ongoing. We just a year ago started a big factory in South America and Uruguay, but also we have this new biorefinery under construction in Leuna in Germany, which is proceeding well. And of course, it's as presented by Dirk, so it's the end of this scale of the development. So it's a something evolutionary.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Good to note.
Very interesting.
Peep, let's have a look. Okay, from your perspective, you are then representing startups here, and it was mentioned also this one of the flagship companies when it comes to EU leveraged bioeconomy investment. So Peep is a chief development officer at Fipenol, spearheading the development in innovation biomass biorefineries to facilitate the bioproduction of premium Scope 3 sustainable raw materials. With over 5 years in this role, he's pioneering a new model for the biorefinery industry, transitioning from fossil-based chemicals to sustainable alternatives. Peep is dedicated for forging meaningful partnership to drive the industry towards circular bioeconomy solution, leverage his prior experience as an R&D manager as a Granule Invest and tenure on board of OU Biogas Pirates. With this word, Peep, what's your taking on this all?
Thank you for the introduction. So we are on the SME or startup side, and happy to share the panel with you. And hopefully soon we are at the same level of the global presence and wood processing capacity. So like you said that everybody knows Fipenol, UPM. I hope that everybody knows Fipenol also, that I don't need to try.
After this, they will know.
Yes, after that. But yes, Fipenol is a new innovation in wood processing industry. So we have now scaled up globally first wood biorefinery able to get wood, hard wood, into sugars and lignin, and we have commissioned the plant, now up and running, 25,000 tons dry wood annual capacity. So small demonstration, but paving the way towards market commercialization. So Fipenol Fiber Beyond Oil, this is the kind of larger umbrella mission. And I think where we have evolved during this 8 years of technology, going through the valley of risk of technology, getting to the real industrial scale, is that, well, COP28 defossilization, we enable that. We're one part of the solution. We need different options. We need CO2, we need recycled fossils, but we also need the biomass. And I think what is the driving force for us, why we did it, is that we see that there is still quite a lot of forestry biomass, woody biomass that can be valorized more, especially in the hardwood side, and we need different kind of approaches. So we have done mechanical wood processing, pulp and paper, but they have been there as a technology for quite a long time. So we need a little bit different angles, and what also UPM is doing in Leuna, so it's a kind of a new approach how to take maximum out of the wood. So in our view, there is way more value still hidden in the wood than we can extract today, and there is a very big potential from bitumen to cosmetics, everything in between, and to make change where it makes sense based on wood. So part of the solution, and happy to be here and discuss.
Very good. Good insight. So congratulations also from your progress. So let's get back from Europe to Latin America and to Brazil. So we are very pleased to have Christian Olkenmeister from Suzano, from the executive board, and provide a perspective. How do they look like, from the Suzano's point of view, to investing in this space? So Christian is an accomplished executive, currently serving as an executive director for new bio businesses, strategy, and digital tech at Suzano. With over 3 decades of experience in leadership position at prestigious firms like PCG and Kearney, Christian brings a wealth of expertise in strategy and leadership consulting to his role. At Suzano, a global leader, forest industry, pulp and innovability, Christian leads multiple projects in the bioeconomy from the company's corporate venture. Christian holds a Dream Global Executive MBA from renowned institutions, reflecting his dedication to continuous learning and growth. So with this word, Christian, please tell me, what's your secret?
Thank you, Jukka. It's a pleasure to be here in Finland with you. Thank you for the invitation. This is a very important event for us. I would like to first to start mentioning that Suzano is celebrating 100 years this year, and we're very proud of that trajectory. And as PEEP wants to be as big as Suzano in a few years, I say that Suzano wants to be a startup as PEEP. And this is the way we think. We call ourselves a 100-year startup because innovation, it's at the heart of the bioeconomy, okay? And for us, we are facing a very critical moment in history where climate change needs to be addressed by the entire society. And Suzano wants to be a part of the solution to this new challenge that we're all facing. And the bioeconomy is certainly one of the most important levers that we have as society today to foster this change. So this is very important that we all agree on that. How does Suzano wants to participate in that? Multiple ways. First one is taking care of our own business, our core business, which is the forestry business and the pulp business. And we do it in a very sustainable way. We need to understand, particularly for Europeans, that the forestry industry in Latin America, has nothing to do with the Amazon. Okay? To put it very simple. We plant trees, just like we plant crops and other biomaterials. Until you don't understand that, there is no dialogue. We need to pass that forward, okay? It's a very sustainable, certified, and we can show you all the data and prove that this is a sustainable business. From that, we have biomass. That biomass, it's part of the solution for the entire world, not for Brazil, for the entire world to do biomaterials just like UPM and PMC does to provide, and my colleague Pip as well does, to provide biomaterials to the world. This is what we need to understand. We need to collaborate and overcome the discussion about the North and the South and who needs to pay and who is right and who is wrong. This is very important. So we do that at Suzano. Second thing that we do, we invest in innovation. We invest in innovation. Not only the core business helps to pay the bill, yes, but we understand that innovation takes time, takes 5, 7, 10 years to develop. And I have some colleagues here in the audience who understand that. And that's why we're here, because we need to finance that. We do that internally. We're investing in lignin as well. We're investing in Elka fluff. We're investing here in Finland. Our only facility that we have outside Brazil is in Finland, in a textile facility here in Jyväskylä. So we're investing in startups all over the place, not only in Brazil, to develop innovation, to transform our biomass into products. And the last thing that we do is we invest, we have a separate fund, a corporate venture fund, dedicated to scout and invest in startups all over the world to foster this innovation. So this is very critical. I would like to finish with one last remark of what else needs to be done is we need to collaborate. The bioeconomy, it's not about competition, it's about collaboration. This is an essential concept of a bioeconomy. If we use short-term mentality from the traditional economy and think that that will solve the climate change that we have, it will not succeed. We need to collaborate. And this includes our suppliers that are here present in this event as well. They need to understand that we are not the ones who will pay for them simply as in a commercial transaction. We need to collaborate in how we develop the new technologies, because those technologies are not available. They are being developed. They need to be tested. And if we don't collaborate in different ways, beyond a simple buyer-supplier relationship, the bioeconomy will take much longer to succeed. And maybe, one last comment. What we also need is there is no bioeconomy without bio-consumers. So we need to invest and clarify to the consumers, and we are all consumers, and we need to think about ourselves. Are we conscious bio-consumers? How do we buy? What do we buy? From who do we buy? What do we consume? We need to change our own mentality to drive this market forward, because without market, there is no bioeconomy as well. Thank you.
Very good, very good. I liked your expression about 100 years old startup. It's like me, never grow up. Nevertheless, that is good to remind, and a lot of good topics about the innovation, about the collaboration. I think all of us need to bear that on our minds. What does it then mean? And I also fully agree this Amazon concept. This is really then the case, and it's also applicable to the forest industry as a whole. Hey guys, you are doing a good job in this space, and that message should be then get across. And also, what you do in in Brazil, so you are having this, is it 9 million plantations and 6 million hectares which has put on the side. This has nothing to do with the Amazon. Fully agree. So that's about it. That was about the driver. What makes this the bioproduct investment ticking? But let's have a look now. What about the obstacles? What could be then done more? So let's elaborate that topic. So let's start from here now, Christian. How do you see that? What could be then done more? How do you see the obstacles of this side?
I think I'll mention two obstacles very briefly. One is the regulation, of course. We want to build a new economy when there is a current economy working at full speed with massive investments. If we want to shift that, it will not happen just by market pull. There needs to be some sort of intervention through regulation to provide the right incentives for companies to comply. And the second, I think, particularly the larger companies, they need to introduce financial criteria that stimulates innovation for the long term. So if I assess every capital allocation I do with a traditional lens, I will probably not invest in any of the startups that we are investing.
Okay.
Yep.
Or if I don't take in consideration, the carbon footprint of every investment that I do and what are the implications, if I don't translate it into economic value, I would probably do the wrong investments towards the bioeconomy. So it's changing my own criteria in how I invest, but also having support from a regulatory system.
Okay, thanks. What about Petri? What's your take on this?
Okay, so thanks. I think it's easy to echo what Christian actually said about the regulation. And the regulation is important in that respect as well, as we are talking about, let's say, innovations or initiatives or investments which are quite sizable in the end of the day. And if the regulation is very unstable, if it's changing all the time, so it's really difficult to really justify the things. So therefore, the regulation topic is very important. Second thing is the question you also said that it takes a lot of time to develop new concepts, develop new systems or technologies, and then you need to have a strong drive and strong companies also to do it. Maybe the third one is so that I would say that none of the companies are able to do it alone. So you need to have a partners or a collaboration somehow that you are able to do the new things. We can discuss about the KPIs also, that how to follow.
Oh, yeah.
I would say the traditional KPIs definitely in the beginning are not the right ones.
Yeah. As you are now, recently invest Latin America and here in Europe, so what? And you are operating in different locations. Do you see any sort of preferential regions there? The regulation is better handled. So, Petri, this goes for you. It's easy to ask, but can you elaborate a bit that is there any preferential sort of regulation which helps your investments?
So.
Regularity is that any better? Like EU is known as taxonomy and is called trace, but you see that some areas that are doing better.
Well, I think it's not one world in that respect for sure. So we all know that EU is quite more regulatory driven than, for instance, Americas, if I put it that way, for sure.
Okay, let's move on. Bernadita.
Obstacles?
Obstacles?
Well, I'm gonna kind of, like Christian said, I totally agree with what you mentioned, Christian, about really removing the perception in the industry about what happens in Latin America. We have all the sustainability, certifications and management of our forest. But I will also, that is alongside with what Derek mentioned at the beginning in terms of education, we need to improve the understanding of the forest industry by the society. In the Nordics, this seems much more evolved. Like the Nordics, everyone knows someone who owns a piece of land that produces a forest. You know, in Latin America, this is kind of not seen that way. Like our regions, I believe, have a great opportunity there in making society understand that this is a sustainable industry that can bring growth, that can bring products, you know, bioproducts out to the market. So and we need to build trust in that stage, and also kind of other obstacle I think is internal. Probably it's similar to what Christian said as well. You know, the understand the long term of innovation. For a board, I believe it's harder to decide a 2 or 5 million investment in a startup than a 200 million capex investment in a mill. They know exactly how it works and they know exactly how much pulp is going to produce. But a 2 million investment in a startup, that's too risky. So it's like we want innovation, but what's the risk involved? So I think there's a lot of work to be done inside our companies to advance into this stage. We run an innovation fund, so we believe we are in the right track. But I still believe there's a lot to be done internally in terms of understanding the long-term, time frame of innovation.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and you have a vehicle on that you are currently operating. So good to hear that. So let's get back to the startup perspective. So Peep, how do you tackle in this space?
So obstacles. How much time I have?
I mean, yeah. Okay, let's keep it short this time. Select only 2 of them.
We have time. Don't worry.
So it's a quite complex scene, especially if you don't have a running business that supports the innovation. So, like said, 100-year industry with a startup mindset, that's one place where we can have innovation coming. But if we really want to have new companies with the new ideas to bring the innovation on the market, then what Dirk was showing, the capex investment and support is very good in the early stages when you deal with the technology. But we are now through this valley of death of the technology, and surprise, surprise, we have the second one waiting, and that's the regulatory and the market offtake. So we all talk about the defossilization, we all talk about the Green Deal, and we want to transform the industry from what it is today into more sustainable practices. But we don't have market for that. So we have the energy, renewable energy, we have the biofuels, but for the chemical material industry, there is exactly 0 direct measures in place that helps you bring innovation into the market. And
that's everywhere, not only in Europe.
That's everywhere. That's everywhere, and that's where we need certain milestones, I would say that we need to deregulation zone for next 20 years to make bio-innovation happen, to help it speed up, to get into the point that we know what we start regulating. Today, there are so many examples when there are people, officials, they have their regulation standards. 2 years, you need to convince them that the wood is a natural thing. Because on the paper it says differently. And as a SME, as a young company, you don't have measures to deal with all that. You don't have that time to wait because the whole industry is preparing. Everybody understands it's coming. Everybody understands that the sustainability will be a topic, but how we measure it? A very good example, bitumen, for example. So CO2 should be kind of a measure that somehow prioritizes sustainability over the fossils. So bitumen CO2 footprint has been said for a long time. It is 150 kilograms per ton. It's a ridiculous number. Now they are making a revision. The revision is, we did a little bit of calculation. Now it's 750. So it's not 5% change. It's 5 times change.
Yeah.
And us, as a new material coming on the market, we need to compete against this kind of uncertainty. We have done the traceable, trackable, transparent CO2 calculations from the forest to the gate of our production. We can be open, but then you go into the market, ask about the CO2 footprint of the fossils. What you get is just the average numbers, and they mean nothing. So there is no externalities inside. So we need separate playing field. We cannot put bio-based industry into the rules of the fossil industry. We need a separate playing field, and there we need to bring motivation for companies who want to change. And technology neutrality, very important. CO2, let's make CO2 calculation as a qualifier, and then how much you reduce, and then the industry starts to innovate. You bring best practices and you get the best sustainable performance at the best price. But we need this kind of targeted roadmap. People need to know that if I invest, in 10 years' time, the investment will bring me something back.
Oh, yeah. These are good messages for the politicians. So, but okay, I tempted to ask you that you have heard about this biopreferred program in US. What's your taking on that? That okay, would that type of program help also here in Europe? You have heard about biopreferred program, which has been initiated by the US government. It has been running there for years. But any comments on that? That's out of the blue question now, but I tempted to ask about that. But okay, there isn't okay systems in place. Some nations or some regions have this so-called biopreferred program. So there's a certain preference when it comes to the bio. So might be this doable. I don't say that the US is a good example of that, but there are some signs of maybe joining the forces to have a closer look on that. Yeah, now we are having some questions. We cannot then cover the finals. Let's have some questions from the audience. There's for example. Sorry.
I think the one who is leading the way in investments in new bioproducts, is it the consumers or the companies? Should always wait for the market? I think it's a good question.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Can I get started?
Yeah, thank you. I think neither. I think both, actually.
You need a glass.
We need to understand our value chain, okay? Our bioproducts, most of our bioproducts don't go into the consumers, into the supermarkets, okay? They go into business to business. Most of our clients are chemical companies, actually. They consume these products. And so, first of all, they need to be in this conference as well. You cannot have a bioeconomy without the chemicals participating in the discussion, okay? It's ludicrous, we're fooling ourselves. They need to be the demand that will drive the market. And they need to have incentives, yes, regulation to change their applications, to allow bioproducts to be applied into their recipes. This is very important. And then at the end, of course, the end consumer needs to put pressure on them to become renewable. So it's a very long and complex value chain where everybody needs to be a part of it. There is no single one string that you can pull to drive this forward.
Can you envision, for example, nowadays that there are carbon credits which are applicable for the carbon sequestration? Can you envision that there could be, for example, credits for the bioproducts?
There could be what?
Credits for bioproducts.
Yes. Carbon credits is one way to incentivize that for sure. Yes, absolutely. It's like to start the engine, to start the process. But at the end, there needs to be much more. Even the carbon credit market today is still very unstable and not transparent, and not everybody understands how it works. So, I mean, even in the most basic concept, it's taking us 3-4 years to develop the carbon credit market. So maybe it's not the most efficient way to foster the innovation.
Would anybody else like to comment on that?
Maybe a little bit complementing the thing. So I think there are also, I think the drivers are good, that who is leading. It's the companies probably, so that of course the megatrends are also supporting. So
yes.
Every company needs to read the megatrends and understand that what is driving in the world. But there is also this, and you mentioned it as well, that you need to think about when you are in this channel, that are you targeting to have drop-in products, or are you targeting to have something which is substituting the current products? And those are quite different.
I want to take the second question there.
Okay.
What is the role of ecosystem and technology partners in designing new products?
Please.
I think it's just impossible to do it alone. We know we don't know it all. If we pretend to know it all, well, you're just doomed for failure. I think partnerships allow you to shorten the learning curve. Allows you. I hear in this same space, but in a slush event, and a couple of years ago, the head of innovation in Airbus saying, "Oh, startups have much more money than us, have much more resources," and everyone in the room were like, "What?" I was like, "Well, you raised 2 million euros when you're just starting. You have a very talented group of people." PhDs, engineers, fully devoted with a budget of 2 million euros, only solving one single problem. I don't think in any of our companies we have a 5-10 people team working on a single problem. So they actually have more resources to answer that question. So It's about finding the partner that knows about the technology, who knows about engineering, who knows about scaling up, who knows about the markets, who knows about logistics. We have met hundreds of startups that have not thought about the logistics in their products. That actually kills the whole cost.
So it's about the collaboration as well.
Exactly. So then basically, I think we just need to collaborate and to get to know each other. Well, Christian mentioned it as well, is like the ecosystem and finding the right partners is the right way to move faster.
Oh, yeah, indeed. Yeah, let's keep up in the collaboration. So we don't miss the questions or no any other preference. But I'd like to then elaborate that bit on this, the biogenic carbon. What's your taking on it? This is high on agenda here in the EU. Not necessarily that much in Latin America and US, but the EU is about addressing this legislation for how to arrange this carbon capture. So, any comments on that? How does that affect the industry as such? Maybe that's for the European colleagues.
This is of utmost importance. The biogenic origin to be separated from the fossil. So, if we want to separate those two things, we need to do it, and the measurement system and standards need to very concretely distinct between those two. Yes, there obviously the biogenic carbon, there is a lifetime of the products that you need to take into account. But getting some kind of standard how we calculate CO2 is very, very important to drive this non-virgin fossil alternatives further. And maybe back one question there was about this, who should lead the bioindustry development? Is it companies or the consumers? One global challenge for the forest industry, at least what we see from the chemical and material market today, chemicals and materials, is that they are not aware of the forest value chains. So for them it's a new, and I have heard very many end user brands saying that we don't know how to communicate sustainable forestry-based biomass to our clients in a way that we don't get the boomerang back. So somehow there is a perception on the market that if it's a forest biomass, it's either rainforest cut down or very unsustainable practices. So that's one of the challenges that we globally, all the forest industry needs to tackle and make more awareness, at least on the chemicals and material side. Maybe fuels and energy is a bit better because there is a longer background and the regulations in place, but chemical materials, that's one of the challenges.
So it requires a comprehension to entire value chain. So what you are then saying there. So to be fair, I need to also ask from Petri, do you have any preference from these questions?
Well, there are very good questions, but if I take this technology thing, that there was this one that who is, where was it actually? So it was a question about the conventional products or the new technologies. Is there a difference in the technology providers? I'm sure that many of the conventional technology providers are actually thinking about the bioproducts and how to produce and what is needed. So this is happening now as we speak.
With this word, it's good to stop here. We have run out of the time, so I hope that you remember here at least the 100 years startup, never grow old. So let's keep eyes open on this sector, because now it's time for the bioeconomy. It's time for the bioeconomy. It's really good to be in this space. And as I told you in the beginning of this all, that the bioeconomy is really getting a topic in other arenas as well. And we should then share this story. This is a good story that we can share with other stakeholders. So we don't take any questions. You can always grab up their shoulder and ask more questions. So with these words, thanks for joining to this, and let's give a big hand for these excellent speakers. And Dirk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.